Welcome back everyone to another Coach Blaker's chat. Today we're going to be talking about if it's you or if it's your team. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Coach Blaker. I've been professionally coaching for going on 10 years, diamond in all roles, diamond to peak. With putting so many hours into solo queue, putting so many hours into students, putting so many hours into teams, putting so many hours into just League of Legends in particular, there's a lot to the game that a lot of players don't know. People think they might have a grasp, but they don't know. And one of the things that players didn't have a hard time with is understanding if it's the team holding them back or if it's them. A lot of the times you'll hear people saying, well, you're not climbing because you're so-and-so, or if you improve, you'll climb. And sometimes that's not the case. So if you're having a hard time figuring out if it's you or if it's your team, make sure to stay tuned. With my long-term experience being a player and a coach, I wrote down 5 things for each category to let you guys know if it's you or if it's your team. But of course, if you feel like you're falling short, you're feeling like you're not having a lot of impact in your games, I highly recommend going to my site and booking a coaching session at coachblaker.com. Even if you're not too sure about coaching, I do offer a free coaching session. I want to make sure that everyone reaches their goal by the end of this season. It's coming up close. There's only, less than 25 days left? So I really want to make sure that we're all reaching our goals. For those of you that are interested in my bootcamp, scroll down to that link below, patreon.com/thecoachapproach. Make sure you sign up there for the bootcamp starting next month. And I do appreciate every single one of you Patreon supporters. Again, thank you so much. So first off, is it your team? So the first thing, do you consistently perform better than the enemy counterpart? Now when I say that, I mean if you're ADC, do you perform better than the other ADC? If you're jungle, do you perform better than the other jungler? If you're top, do you perform better than the other top? And this isn't something that has to do with gold or has to do with being fed. It's something that has to do with how you play the game, period. As a jungler, just because it's very, very easy to know the difference between a good jungler and a bad jungler, which is why we all flame them, the lack of objectives. If you are consistently playing better than the other jungler, you're getting a lot more objectives, you're getting a lot more successful ganks off, and you're getting a lot more counter ganks off, as well as keeping your CS up. These are just some of the metrics of a jungler that you can easily tell if you're outperforming the enemy jungler. Again, it doesn't matter if they're fed, it doesn't matter what role you are, you can outperform anyone as long as you're playing consistently better. The items do not matter, the game state doesn't matter, it's really just about how you play the game. Now the second thing, you consistently hit your power spikes, whether it be items, whether it be levels, you hit your power spikes and you know when to fight, you know when you're good to go, you know when you're ready to really take that advantage over a skirmish, over a team fight, over a 1v1. You understand when your power spikes are and you play around them. The third thing, you consistently know which fights to go to. Are you initiating the right fights? Are you joining the right fights? Are you rotating to the right fights? Are you flanking the right fights? Which is something very, very crucial. If it's not you, it's your team. The fourth thing, are you consistently pinging? Now I'm not talking about pinging someone back or pinging someone in danger. I'm talking about, are you pinging them to tell them what to do? If you're the jungler, are you pinging them to go to dragon? If you're the bot laner or the mid laner or the top laner, are you pinging your jungler off of ganking you because you know it's not going to be a good gank? Are you pinging them to help take plates? Are you pinging them to help push your wave? Are you pinging them to tell them I can't rotate? Are you pinging your HP? Are you pinging your mana? Are you pinging your level? Are you pinging your abilities? Like, are you consistently pinging all the information that you have available? And number 5, are you consistently controlling the flow of the game? Do you know where to go? Do you know where to be? Do you know where not to be? Controlling the flow of the game, it means that we're doing A, B, C, D, E, we're done with the game, GG. That's what controlling the flow of the game means. If you ever see a high-elo player smurf, it looks like they tend to do everything right and then they just win the game. It looks like there's no hiccups. It looks like there's nothing blocking them. They just do this, close out. Now, I am not saying you need to be a smurf to do that. This is a quality that all players can share by knowing what to do and where to be. Again, if it's your team, you're doing these things. Now let's move on to if it's you. So the first thing, you tend to only perform better than your counterpart if you have a lead. You tend to have more CS, you tend to have more kills, you tend to rotate to the right fights because you have a lead. When you don't have a lead, you don't do this consistently at all. So that's only being able to consistently perform better when you have the advantage to do so. The second thing, you tend to only hit your power spikes when there's nothing else to do on the map. You tend to back to get your item power spikes when there's nothing to do on the map. You tend to hit your power spikes and not use them. The third thing, you tend to not know which fights to go to. You tend to mosey on to the fights. You tend to try to protect your teammates. You tend to try to make a bad situation be better. You tend to try to force a fight even though you don't have the numbers. You tend to try to force a fight even if you don't have the mana or the HP, or your teams don't have the mana or the HP, or you never backed in the first place. You tend to not really understand which fights are good and which fights are bad. Number 4, you tend to expect your teammates to play a certain way or act a certain way in certain situations. This is a big one. If you tend to think your teammates are going to do something and then they end up doing the opposite, and you get pretty frustrated at them, and understandably getting frustrated, because why would you do it? What are you doing? Like, I do understand that, but is that your thought process every single game? We're expecting players to do things that they just are not capable of doing, or the ELO's not capable of doing. Is that something that you frequently do or frequently think about? You gotta understand that players are gonna play how they wanna play, and they're in their ELO because that's how they play. So there's no reason for us to expect them to do anything different. And the last one, you tend to play more reactionary. You tend to play off what's presented in front of you. You're not looking for the next thing to do. It's more or less like, oh, this is happening, let me go to it. Oh, that's happening, let me go to it. What is that? I don't know, I guess I'll go. Oh, I guess I won't go. And pretty much every single time something presents itself, you either do it or you don't do it. You're not controlling the flow of the game. You tend to just kind of go with the flow. So by the end of this video, if you found out it was you, there's a lot more self-reflection that you need to be doing to improve, whether it's booking a coaching session, booking a trial session on my site, whatever you need to do, but you do need to do something in order to improve. Just because you're playing over and over is not going to fix the situation. I'm sorry to say, if you plan to just play games after games after games, and you just like doing that, no matter if you're going anywhere, then by all means, I do know there's players like that. But if you're someone that is not like that, and you do want to see results because you consistently play the game and it's like you're wasting your life, I do want to climb, I do want to improve, then I definitely recommend, again, you seek help from from streamers, from YouTubers. Again, book a coaching session with me, book my trial coaching session, it's free, and really try to self-reflect so that way you can become a better player. Now, on the offhand, if it's your team, the bright side about it being your team is that you don't really have to do much. You pretty much know what you need to do to win. The problem is we're not able to convert into a win. What do I mean by that? There's a lot less holes in your gameplay, but it's more of like, once we figure out why we're not closing out, you usually start skyrocketing. That's what I've seen with many students that have had that similar issue. When it is their team and they're playing consistently well, it's always that one little thing that will then start having them win consistently. I had a student that went from gold 4 to diamond 4 in a week. That was one of those players. So those type of things do happen where you're playing really, really, really well, but you're just not winning. That means it's your team. Again, it doesn't mean you're not at fault, but it does mean there's very, very little that you need to improve on to get to the rank that you're supposed to be at. Once you're at that rank, you might have some of the problems, but sometimes gold players could be stuck in gold, even though they play like a platinum player. Sometimes players can be stuck in plat, even though they play like a diamond player. Again, this dude was gold 4. We had a couple of sessions. Man got diamond 4 in a week. So there are players like that, and I do have stories like that. So no matter if it's you or if it's your team, don't get discouraged. Just remember that we all start from somewhere, and it's okay to get help. I think a lot of the times the negativity from League of Legends community is that we shouldn't get help. We shouldn't get coaching. We shouldn't be asking for assistance. It's looked down upon. It shows you're weak. It shows you don't understand anything. It shows that you're not really capable to do it yourself. And that's not a positive way to look at it. If you really do want to win more games, if you really do want to climb, if you really do just want to play better, you're gonna have to go out of your comfort zone to do so. The players that usually are closed-minded like that are the ones that don't climb, the ones that don't improve. But anyone that you've seen, whether it's your friend, whether it's your family, whether it's just someone you see streaming or being on YouTube, for anybody that you see consistently climbing or going from one rank to another, if you ask them, they definitely have gotten help from streamers, from YouTubers, from coaches if they have one. They went to get outside help. So that's just something worth thinking about. Again, if you're interested in coaching, CoachBooker.com is where you want to go. If you want to book your trial session and give it a try, it's 100% free, CoachBooker.com. And of course, for those of you that are interested in my boot camp starting next month, go ahead and check out my Patreon down below. If you're not interested in the boot camp and you just want to support me, I appreciate it. Go ahead and click the same link, and support me there too. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you for what? Approaching this like a coach.